Hi, I'm Jessica Lee, and this is my first Cool Theory presentation on discovery-based learning. Discovery-based learning is an inquiry-based constructivist learning that takes place in problem-solving situations where the learner draws on his or her past experience and existing knowledge to discover facts and relationships and new truths to be learned. According to creator Jerome Bruner, discovery learning theory is a method that believes that learning should be about experiences, testing ideas, problem solving, asking questions, and relationships through discovery. This theory states that through the experience of discovery, students will remember what they've learned on their own on a deeper level than they would in an instructional or transmissionist model. The teacher gives guided instruction for students to explore and experience the learning in their own ways. This is a theory that I selected to research and present on because this type of learning seems to be what our culture is moving towards in application-based classes, and also what seems to be most effective in teaching in my experience. As I read about this theory, I could see my students in my mind's eye as they engaged and dug deeper into the learning opportunities in front of them. This is my true goal as an educator. As a Bible teacher, I spend most of my time seeking out ways to help my students apply principles to their lives because I know that God's principles will lead them to a life worth living. They need to figure that out on their own for themselves if it's going to be a value that they accept truly. So this theory is really interesting to me because I can see the value in students finding true engagement on their own. In researching about this discovery theory, I found some research by Columbia University on discovery versus instruction. It was interesting to me to see how discovery learning trumped direct instruction after the fourth assessment. These students were tested between 11 and 17 weeks, and they tested the mastery over the information given to the students. And it was pretty intriguing to me to see the results. In my specific context, I could apply this theory to my curriculum in a few important ways. It's obvious to me that my students are screaming out for activities in class that engage and inspire them. Every day they come in and they say, "Mrs. Lee, what are we going to do in class today?" That very question tells me that they don't want to sit and listen to me talk. They want to discover. They want to move, act, explore, and interact. So first of all, in assignments and projects, I could incorporate more opportunities for students to do some problem solving, research-based activities, and allow them to work with controversial questions, tricky questions. Also, by allowing students to find answers on their own instead of mechanically from a teacher, they will experience more of an adventure, more of an experience that they won't forget. In my financial principles unit, this theory would play out beautifully if I could find a way to get students to discover how God's principles for money management and our culture's principles interact with the way they deal with their money. One idea I could implement would be to get them to figure out the truths about God's plan for money through their futures by having them research through interview. This would hopefully help them to see the results for themselves through problem solving, asking good questions. I believe that if they do this, they would be more engaged and more impacted by the presented teaching on financial principles. After hearing people's stories and experiences, they would see that the plan God gives us is for our good and not to harm us, but to give us a future. This idea could be useful in my relationships unit as well, and could aid the students in discovering the power of purity and faithfulness in relationships before and after marriage. These principles are so twisted in our culture. So I think that God's plan may become more acceptable to my students if they could discover for themselves how real people are affected by the culture and by God's principles. In both units, I can see how discovery through asking questions and problem solving would lead them to learn and absorb the truths presented in my curriculum in a deeper way. In a project that I did with my juniors last year, I had students explore current injustices in our city and see how they could make an impact with their gifts and talents that God had given them. Many students found issues that they connected to and created heartfelt and dynamic activist-type presentations that came from a discovery all on their own. If I would have assigned them a topic and given them all the research, I don't believe that they would have had the same reaction to the information. Also, in letting them search for themselves, they found issues that I myself had no idea existed in our city. They were able to bring awareness to issues and educate us through their discovery. This is the beauty of the discovery-based learning theory. This is what students long for and what they will not soon forget.